I'm sure you must be interacting with a lot of founders on a day-to-day basis. And since you're a CA, I mean, can you talk a little bit about what are some of those do's and don'ts when it comes to founders incorporating in UAE, like some of the things that they should know if they're not aware?
Sure. Good morning, everyone. Thank you, WFC, for giving me this opportunity. So like you mentioned, Bhavna, a lot of startups are being attracted to Dubai, especially I would say, post-COVID, the number has gone up significantly. And when, considering to incorporate a company here in the UAE, there are several points that, one needs to take care of. I'll list a few. First things first, it's very important to choose the right kind of jurisdiction for you. The UAE, though very small, it's a very small country. We have seven city states, as we call them, or seven emirates. But the number of jurisdictions are mind-boggling. The number of free zones, mainland options, and even offshore options, can be very confusing to, potential startup founders. And that's why choosing the right jurisdiction based upon your business activities, what are your target market, and the tax implications. That's really, really very important. Second thing that I would like to emphasize on is understanding the legal requirements and the compliances of the country. Now, that can be, the UAE's corporate law. It can be the free zone law if you're in the free zone, and even the taxation laws, because now UAE has become a taxable jurisdiction, like Nazir mentioned. So these are points that need to be considered as well. Third important point that I could mention is the capital requirements for the company. Now, again, this can vary from jurisdiction to jurisdiction. So, whatever is the minimum capital requirement, that needs to be taken care of by the founder. Lastly, I would say another important aspect is the visa regulations. You need to understand what are the requirements for getting a visa for yourself, for your employees, probably your family. There are other legal requirements such as insurance, end of term benefits, etc., etc. So a lot of things that you need to consider. Lastly, which I always mention to most of my clients is considering the whole cost of doing business. Now, mostly people focus on the initial setup costs, but I try to make them aware about the costs that will come immediately after. That can be things like your office rent, your utilities, payment for your visa employees, the insurance. All these are a major cost that will come immediately after you set up a company. So don't just focus on the company setup costs. I'd also like to mention a few points where I feel that people tend to make a mistake or go wrong. First things is inadequate research or not talking to professionals. I know a lot of data is available online. People try to make their best decision based on whatever they read on the internet, but now that may or may not be applicable to you or your company. So you need to consider talking to an expert before incorporating a company to have benefits in the short and long run. Last thing I would like to mention, like actually GS pointed out, that the incorporating the company for him took quite long. So here, while certain jurisdictions, the incorporating timelines are very low, but there are also other jurisdictions where the timelines are quite long. So it's not like, you're up and running in about, a week or 10 days or 15 days. Another thing probably that Nazir would probably agree with me is in opening of bank accounts. That has also unfortunately become a little bit of a challenge here due to various reasons. I'm not delving into that at the moment. But you probably incorporate your company, let's say within a month, for example. There are cases where in opening of a bank account has taken much longer time, 2 months, 3 months, maybe even longer. So you need to consider all of that as well. Last thing, since we have an audience which is probably majorly based out of India, something that I always tell my Indian clients, please do not compare costs in Indian rupees. You can't multiply everything by 23 and say that, oh my God, this is so expensive. You need to understand that you're coming to a separate jurisdiction. forget jurisdiction, you're coming to a separate country altogether. So the costs as well as the benefits and the revenue that you may generate is going to be, in a foreign currency. So comparing the cost in rupees will only put you back, honestly speaking, in your mindset. So, these are the some of the important points that founders need to consider.